Hello!
Hello!
This week, finally, we are gonna talk about the wooden deck we are building on the top of our shipping container.
So, let's get started. Well, this episode, as it was getting too long and we couldn't finish the whole deck in 1 week, we decided to divide this episode in 2 parts.
The first part, we are gonna talk about the design of the deck, how we chose the wood, how we chose the treatment for the wood, and how we assembled the main beams.
So next week we are going to talk about how we assembled the roof that we're going to have inside the wooden deck, how we assembled the drainage for the water, and how we assembled the decking itself, and how we treated the decking itself. That's a different kind of wood, but we'll get there eventually.
Yeah.
So let's start with task number 1.
The design of the wooden deck. At first we thought it was easy, but as soon as we start thinking about every single connection, every single detail, it was not that easy.
Yeah, the thing is, we had basically a wooden deck on our minds, we could see it, but we tried to get this imagination and put into a 3D model, and once we did that, things change. Because once you do the 3D model, the mistakes start to show up. So you plan in a way, and then you see that the water would not leave that part of the roof underneath, and just when it's a model that you're actually going to build, it's just a complete story. It's a different story. It's just, things get complicated. So to make it easier, we're going to show you guys the 3D model of the deck.
Imagine these 2 blocks as the shipping container. I know that's not detailed, but you can imagine that's south, north, east and west.
So on the top of that, we added the supports that we showed you guys on the other episode.
Now, let's set the main beams. In between these beams, we will have a roof.
The water from the east roof is going to drain to this direction and to this pipe. The water from the west roof is going to drain in this direction and through this pipe. We have one main problem. I think that was the worst problem we had. The water that comes from the hang, because our wooden deck is going to hang 30 centimeters over the shipping container, and we don't want this water to go through the deck. We want to bring the water to the roof. So that was the most confusing part. So we decided to have a main roof, but on the sides we're going to have just a lot of small little roofs that brings the water inside to the main roof and then drain to the pipe, right?
I hope so.
Is that confusing? So let's show you on the drawing. So that's the drawing. So all these small roofs are gonna take water to the big roof that takes the water to the pipes, and that's it. We're done. When we finally achieve all that, we are gonna install the decking itself. But that's something that we're going to talk about in future episodes, and then we still need to do some finishings around and underneath, we still need to give a good finishing, so when you look from the outside you just see a big wooden deck and not a lot of pipes and stuff and roof. So let's get to the second part. Now that we have the plane, now that we know what we want, we need to decide about the wood we are going to use. Did you like the wood?
Yeah. Hello?
Yeah, I don't know. It's funny because there are so many kinds of wood in Brazil. Way too many kinds of wood.
So we spent, I think, 2 weeks searching about the wood, which wood we are gonna use, which one was not the expensive one, because
price
the best one, of course, is expensive.
Yeah, the price is a big, a big part of the decision was price, because if we wanted to use the wood called Itauba. That's our favorite one. The color is nice. It's really strong
it's
wood.
Hard wood. Yeah.
It's a really hard wood. It's gonna last for a long time.
More than container.
Yeah, it might. I think it's gonna last more than the shipping container. But Itauba was just too expensive. We just couldn't afford the price. So we decide, other than that, we could go to a really cheap one that would be
Pinus?
Pinus?
Pine?
Yeah, like pine, yeah. So would be pressure treated pine. That actually is not bad. It's really good, but it's like half of the price, maybe a little bit less than half of the price. But then we had the third choice that would be
Angelum?
Angelum. So the problem about the pine where we buy the wood is that sometimes when you get like a big beam, sometimes you get some knots on the middle, and that makes fragile the wood. So as the dimension would be like really big, we didn't want to give the risk. I mean, could work out fine, but sometimes you just get a knot on the wrong place, and I don't know. We decided to go with the Angelum. So
the Angelum is for the main beams and for the joists.
Joists. Yeah, the thing is, we didn't want to use Angelum on the top, on the decking itself, because it's, I don't know, it gets too much sun and water, and as the pine is treated and it's more dry, the wood is drier, I guess it's gonna react better with the weather. But on the structural part, that is the main beams and the joists, we decide to use Angelum. So it's gonna be a mixture of Angelum on the structural part, and the decking is gonna be treated pine.
And the other choice that we need to make was the treatment, which treatment to use, because we can just paint with regular paint.
Yeah, the thing is, we are in Brazil, in the south of Brazil, and here it's really, really, really humid, and wood is something that in the humid weather and sunny and humid and rainy, sometimes just would get bad really quick. So Angelum supposedly, correct us if we're wrong, but we asked a lot of people and talked to a lot of people that understand about that, and they say that Angelum is a pretty good wood, but if it stays on the sun and on the rain for too long without treatment, it's gonna crack all over and it's gonna be bad really quick. So we decided to treat the wood. We had two main choices for treating the wood, which were varnishing or stain. Actually, I never heard about stain before. I mean, I heard on many videos that I watch on YouTube, but I always thought that stain was just a varnish, a kind of varnishing, and I realized that's not at all. So let's talk about the difference between stain and varnishing. What's the difference?
The varnishing is just superficial.
Yeah.
So
it's like a layer.
Yeah, it's a layer. So every 2 years, I guess, we need to take everything off, and then we need to paint it again.
Yeah, I think actually it might even last for longer, the varnishing, but as it's a layer, as soon as you take this layer off, the wood's not protected anymore. And as we are talking about a wooden deck that you walk on the top, and you know there is flexibility and you know things move, I think it's not the best choice. That's my way of thinking. So we decided to go with the second choice, that is stain. The difference is that stain is not a layer. Stain actually it's like how you need to like the pregnant. Yeah, basically the treatment goes inside the wood, and there is no layer on the outside. So it's basically something that the wood absorbs the paint and creates a protection layer inside on a barrier
for the sun and for the bugs.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm gonna show you guys. You put water on the top of the wood, and the water won't go inside. It's just like a membrane that creates, but inside the wood. But we heard that we need to treat more often. But the difference between treating varnishing to treating the stain is that stain you don't need to take the stain off. You just paint on the top of it. You don't need to do anything. You just once a year you paint again on the top. And varnishing, you need to take the bad parts off, and then sand, and then you paint with. I don't know. We decided to go with stain.
And then the next choice was the color, because there are more than 10 kinds of colors.
Yeah, but the good thing is we could choose a color with stain. Yeah, it's funny because stain, you kind of pretend that you are any kind of wood you want. So we have Angelum. So you go to the store and you get Angelum with this stain looks like Itauba, but if you use this stain looks like a different kind of wood, and if with this one looks like a different kind of wood. So we chose one that we didn't know if was gonna look good.
But we like it a lot.
Yeah, it's funny because in the store they show us a piece of wood that was painted, and in the end we didn't get the same result. It looks different, but looks
way
really
better,
good.
actually.
Yeah, it looks much better. So we treat it with stain, and that's the color that we got it.
Well, now that we chose the wood we want and the treatment we want, it's time to treat the wood.
But first, we want to thank two friends that we met through the channel, that are Sonia and Giuliano. Sonia is from New York, Giuliano is from Rio de Janeiro, and they contacted us if they could help, and they show up to help right when we were painting the wood. So, I mean,
it was really helpful.
It was really helpful. It takes a long time to paint the wood.
We didn't know, but as we decided to paint the wood before making the deck, before assembling the wooden deck, every layer we need to have 3 coats of the stain.
Yeah, we need to have 3 coats and 12 hours in between coats. And we could not, we have 4 sides of the beam. We did 3 sides and then the other side. That means we need 6 days to do that.
Yeah, because it's 12, but for us we took 24 hours between layers.
Yeah, so I mean, takes a long time to, it's a small task, but you keep doing for a few days. And when you have more hands to help, it's much quicker to do the job. Let's show the video clip. I think it's easier. So video clip about the whole process until now. Now we just need to paint this 3 times and then we can start doing the wooden deck. So, let's go.
What's going on?
Just align. We just need to make sure we have the same amount of beam hanging out.
Like this?
It's all marked. We just need to
Make some holes.
and then we can screw the beam on place.
Yeah. I have never done this before, so let's go with it. Let's see if I can do it. It's like this?
Yep. Enough.
Good?
Yep.
Yay! I did it.
It's always the first time. It's working.
So we hope you guys understood the bigger picture of the wooden deck.
Yeah, actually, I know you guys were expecting to see a 100% finished wooden deck by now.
We were as well.
We were as well. I mean, the thing is, we always depend on the weather, and sometimes the weather doesn't help. And we do understand people that are like sometimes not complaining, but they were like expecting more from us to, you know, to get more progress quick. The thing is, we are only two, and we are building, learning,
Going to
stores, editing
filming.
videos. Yeah, and I mean, editing videos take a long time of our week, and we have two choices. We basically don't have a video a week, or we show you half of a wooden deck. I prefer to show you guys half of a wooden deck so you guys can, you know, keep following the progress and understand that it's not like you think and the wooden deck just show up. If you need to build, you need to build, and if it takes long, it takes long.
And if someone wants to come and help, we are really thankful.
I mean, the house is always open for new friends. If you are around and if you feel like stopping by, many people done already, and 100% of the people that showed up was so cool and so nice and
so
just
helpful
a lot. It's just like even like giving ideas and I don't know, or just giving hands, and it's a huge help, and that's our purpose of the project, is to get to know more people, it's get to know more solutions and to learn more. And the more people, you know, interact with us, the more we learn, the more you guys learn. It's good for everyone. So I guess
that's it for now.
For now, that's it. Hopefully next week we're gonna have the entire wooden deck, or at least close to that. But don't worry, we are working on. We are trying really hard to progress. But the thing is, it takes long. We need to paint the decking, or still we need to buy the wood for the decking still, and we need to treat the wood for the decking. So it's like 5 days just to treat the wood. So
So see you guys
next week.